Today we're looking at the Ford Fiesta. Now let's go over what makes this a great subcompact car. Well, first of all, it's designed by the small car team in Europe, mostly for the European market. This is a huge seller over there, and the good news is Ford brings those cars here to North America relatively unchanged. It's got a wonderful looking exterior that would fit in on the roads of Paris, downtown Detroit, or downtown Vancouver. On the inside, a very upscale looking dashboard considering this is a subcompact car. It's got soft touch materials on the dashboard, and the trunk in the back is a very good size. It's very deep, and you can actually put quite a bit of stuff back there. The one shortfall always has been with this car is the back seat is relatively small. But if you're in the market for a subcompact car, this one definitely is one to consider. Now, why are we looking at the Fiesta again? Because it's what's under the hood that's intriguing for this version of the Fiesta.
The 1-litre EcoBoost engine, which has been named International Engine of the Year twice, is now available in the 2014 Fiesta, and it delivers the highest EPA highway rating of any non-hybrid gasoline car in America at 45 miles per gallon.
What makes this car special is it's the very first 3-cylinder engine produced by Ford. It's only 1 liter, but it has a lot of tricks up its sleeve to give it the power of the regular 1.6 liter 4-cylinder, actually a little bit more power, but about 25% fewer parts and improved fuel economy. The first thing is it's turbocharged. Ford uses a turbo with low inertia rotors, meaning that the turbocharger can spool up much quicker. Maximum torque on this engine comes at just 2,500 RPM, giving it much better low end and mid-range torque. In addition, it's got variable valve timing, direct injection, but one of the biggest problems with any 3-cylinder engine is vibration. So what does Ford do? The pulley and the flywheel are unbalanced with weights that are placed precisely to counteract the natural shaking forces of the engine. Now, if you go back and watch my Mitsubishi Mirage review of that car, one of the biggest complaints is it has so much noise and it has quite a bit of vibration. It's noisy. I can't get over the noise. Also, to get around the noise that typically comes from small engines, Ford is taking the rubber timing belt and immersed it in oil. That means it's helping to absorb a lot of the noise. In addition, Ford uses a very stiff cast iron block with different engine mounts to help isolate noise, vibration, all those sorts of things. And when you drive this car, I'm telling you, the average person, if they didn't know it was a 3-cylinder engine under the hood, would have no idea. So that's what we're going to do now. Go for a spin. Okay, so that's all that went into the engine. We started up here, and the real test of a small engine is sitting at idle, and there is absolutely no vibration. I was first enamored with this back in the 90s when you could get a V6 to be this smooth. Now you've got a 3-cylinder engine that's this smooth. So all of that balancing works and definitely is not a loud engine. So we'll put it into gear and get into what's going on here in terms of horsepower. So this car has, I mentioned, a 1-liter engine and it's turbocharged, but it puts out 123 horsepower. The regular 1.6 puts out 120, so it's got 3 horsepower up on the regular 4-cylinder engine. Then it's got 125 foot-pounds of torque, where the regular 4-cylinder just has 111 foot-pounds of torque, so much more torque, and it comes on at just 2,500 RPM. Now, with the 4-cylinder engine, its maximum torque comes at 5,000 RPM, so a classic 4-cylinder engine that you've got to really wind out in order to get the maximum torque. Now, with this engine, you can loaf it along actually at low RPM, and it actually prefers to be driven that way, much the same way you would drive a diesel. In fact, you can drive around the city most of the time in 3rd gear, almost like you would an automatic. That's one thing I want to point out. This car is only available initially with a 5-speed manual transmission. That's a very small market. But I got to tell you, the engine is so smooth and refined, you'd have a hard time if you put somebody in this car and told them that it was a 4-cylinder engine that they could really counteract that, because it has no attributes of a typical 3-cylinder engine and it has lots of power. Now, on fuel economy, this car is rated at 7.5 liters per 100 kilometers in the city and 5.5 liters on the highway. Now that's with the new 2015 cycle test. It definitely impacts the fuel economy numbers. This is a classic example of turbocharging that's done right, but I should always warn people, if you get a turbocharged gasoline engine and you utilize all of that torque all the time, really winding the engine out, the fuel economy suffers. If you drive with a fairly soft touch on the throttle, you can get very good fuel economy and probably much better than that 1.6 liter engine. The EcoBoost engine is only available on one trim level. That's the SE model that we have here, and it starts at $16,675. Add in $1,500 for the EcoBoost engine, another $500 for heated seats and automatic climate control, and it brings the price of this car to just over $18,500. Not an inexpensive subcompact car. When you look at the fact it's only available with a 5-speed manual transmission right now and only on one trim level, it really is a small market for this car. People going into the dealership looking at the standard 1.6 liter engine and saying I'm going to spend $1,500 more to get this engine, not a lot of takers, especially only with the manual. It's good to see that Ford is bringing really their European power plant here to North America. Hopefully some people will adopt it, it'll spread through the range, and we'll all be able to enjoy much better fuel economy.